Hello and welcome to this review of the Zoom PodTrak P4 versus the Zoom H6. So TLDR, if you're a podcaster and you only do audio, go with the PodTrak P4. You have more flexibility. It comes at a much lower cost, or roughly $100 cheaper, and it does everything you need for an audio-based podcast. If you're a sound designer or if you do video as well, go with the Zoom H6. You have more features. You have a higher audio quality, and you have these interchangeable mics. You basically have more flexibility with this. So that's the TLDR. So let's get started with the unboxing of the PodTrak P4. And just so you guys know, right now I'm recording with a Tascam. I believe it's the Tascam 10DL microphone, and there is a washing machine in the background. So this is the box. Here's the back, in case you guys need to know. So the specs on this, this can only record CD quality audio. That's all it can record. It can only record 44.1 kilohertz at 16 bits, but that is good enough for podcasting. So this item was not available at B&H or Sweetwater for some reason. It's, as others have mentioned, it's only been available through Best Buy, and that's where I got it, and it came within 2 days. So here you have your manuals and user guides. So here, it's this unit costs $199. This is the unit itself. We'll go into that. In the box, all you get is batteries. You don't get a USB-C cable, and I guess that's because of the low price point. You don't really get much. So that's all that's in the box. Let's move that away. So here's the unit itself. So let's just begin with the top. You have 4 XLR inputs. These are not TRS combo jacks, unlike the Zoom H6. I guess I'll bring the H6 to compare them side by side. On the H6, you have combo jacks. Maybe if you have an instrument. On the PodTrak P4, you do not. You do have so you have the 4 XLR, and you do have gain control for each one. But one thing to notice is that these gain knobs are smaller than the Zoom H6. So the Zoom H6, it feels really nice. It's to sort of adjust the gain right when you need it. I haven't used the PodTrak P4, but these are significantly smaller knobs. Same thing for the headphones, for the headphone volume. So right below the gain knobs, you have the option to switch between adding phantom power, and I believe you can only add, it's 48 volts of phantom power, versus the Zoom H6. You can adjust how much phantom power you add to each track. I believe you can add 12, 24, and 48 volts. So you can flip the switch if you have a condenser microphone or something like a Zoom, like a Shure SM7B, to turn on phantom power. And here on the right 2 channels, you see, on the 3rd channel, you see a little phone, and that's because you can take in callers from a mobile device. And on the 4th one, you have a USB symbol, and that's because you can connect this via USB to take in callers via USB from your computer, via USB-C, from things like Skype, Zoom, or any application. And so below that, we have our mute buttons. So the Zoom H6 does not have mute buttons. Well, it kind of does. Yeah, it does have. You can just click on the track. They're just numbered. On the PodTrak P4, they're just specific Zoom buttons. And here, let me see if I can zoom in so you guys can see this better. Great, so there you can see the knobs much more clearly. They are smaller versus the Zoom H6. There they are side by side. And then below the mute buttons, you have 4 sound pads. You can preload some sounds. This is your level or gain for the sound pad. And then here you have your screen. It's a bit small. And here you have your menu control buttons for the screen and your record button. And below that, you have your headphone volume control. And the outputs are 3.5 millimeter or 1/8. I did think they were 1/4 inch, but they're not. But that's fine because most headphones are 3.5 millimeter. So comparing that to the H6, in the H6 you only have one headphone out, and you have your volume right there to control your headphone out. So moving off to the side. So on the side of the unit, you can see that there is 2 holes here, and this is the power button. So one of the holes is the 3.5 millimeter input for the TRRS cable that you connect to your phone to take in a caller. The other hole is for Zoom's proprietary add-on device that you can purchase for $50, which basically you can connect this to these 2 holes, and it'll make that TRRS connection a Bluetooth connection, so you can take in a caller via Bluetooth from your mobile device. So in the back, we have our battery tray for AA batteries. Let me just go ahead and put those in right now. There is no string. The Zoom H6 does have a string. Like if I compare the Zoom H6, here's the battery compartment, and there's a little string that makes it easier to pull out the batteries. And there's also, on the Zoom H6, you have a 1/4 thread to thread this onto a tripod or anything. On the PodTrak P4, there's no thread, so you can't mount this on anything. So going on to the other side, we have our SD card tray. Something I hate about these Zoom products with SD card tray is that it's kind of difficult to open the tray. You really need like a nail, to have a nail or have something, thin to open that. As you can see with my H6, it's all scratched up there. So moving aside from the SD card tray, you have 2 USB-C connections. So I don't yet understand why they couldn't have done this with one USB-C connection, because I assume that I'm pretty sure with the USB connection to your computer, I'm pretty sure you can use bus power the unit, just like the Zoom H6. So one of the USB-C connections is to connect it to your computer. The second USB connection is to connect this to a power bank or a DC outlet. And that's pretty much the unit by itself. Let me go ahead and zoom out now. And side by side by the Zoom H6. So things to note. The PodTrak P4, you can only record 44.1 kilohertz at 16 bits. The Zoom H6, you have much more flexibility. You can record up to 96 kilohertz at 24 bits. In the Zoom H6, it's currently $300 at B&H. In the Zoom PodTrak P4 is $200 at anywhere you buy it. So with the Zoom H6, you do have these interchangeable modules. With the PodTrak P4, you do not. So if you do need sort of a run-and-gun solution where you can quickly pop on a module, turn on the unit, and click record and start recording, go with the Zoom H6. That's why it's called a handy recorder. Another thing is the display. Let me turn on the Zoom P4. So it says no card, but there you can see the display. It's much easier to see the display on the Zoom H6. It can be a little difficult to see the display on the Zoom P4, especially since it's not colored like the H6. Like right now, you can see it's clipping. In that color coding really does help. So when you turn on the buttons, they do light up bright red. And when talking about things to note, let's talk about gain. On the Zoom H6, you have up to 55 decibels of gain on the XLR channels, and it has been pretty good for even managing things like a Shure SM7B, which I have here with me today, and the Zoom P4 actually provides more gain. It provides 70 decibels of gain. Another thing to note is that the PodTrak P4, this can be used as an audio interface and a podcast recorder, an audio recorder at the same time. The Zoom H6, you can't do that. You can only use it as a audio recorder or audio interface. So that would be another reason to go with the Zoom P4, and it does. You can turn on the setting to do mix minus, and it'll do that, automatically. You just have to turn it on through USB. With the Zoom H6, you do have mix minus capabilities, but you'll have to do that manually. It's not automatic. All right, so this pretty much sums up the review of the PodTrak P4 versus the Zoom H6. Let me know which one you guys have or you guys are planning to get down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.